She stared at me like I'd gone mad. Her wide violet eyes locked on my mouth, her elegant fingers trembling. Not from fear of me, no, she wasn't afraid of me, but of what I had just done. I tore another chunk from the roasted beast's flank, grease glistening on my gloves. Flames crackled between us. I caught her stare, chewed slowly, and said with a smirk,
"What?"
"Tastes like chicken." She blinked once.
Twice.
That was Adarsun. I wiped my mouth. A what now? You just ate the apex predator of this planet. It took down fleets. My people lost a war to it. And yet, here I was, just a scavenger human with a busted rifle and a lot of bad luck, biting into its ribcage like it was a Thanksgiving turkey. She knelt beside me slowly, like she was seeing something new. Not just a brute, but something worse. Or maybe something more. And that's when everything changed between us. Earth was long gone. What remained was scorched dirt, twisted metal, and the ghosts of cities that once reached for the clouds. The sky was a permanent orange bruise, scarred by chemical clouds and falling debris. But for me, Jay, the planet hadn't died. Not really. It had evolved. Hardened. Like I had. I didn't expect company that day, much less a violet-skinned alien with eyes like midnight and a voice that could silence a firefight. Her name was Amelia. Her armor was sleek, black as void steel, molded to her like it was grown from her skin. She moved like a shadow, too graceful to belong in a world this broken. When I first met her, she had her blade to my throat before I could finish chewing a dried bug ration. Trust was not a luxury for either of us. That morning, I tracked the beast through the ruins of an old manufacturing plant, what we now called the Bone Hive. The Darsun was a monster, 12 feet tall, plated in obsidian scales, eyes like glowing coals. It had taken me 4 grenades, a spear, and sheer madness to bring it down. And now it was dinner. Amelia appeared from the shadows just as I was plating its flank over a fire. I didn't know what she was yet, friend, foe, or alien overlord. But she looked at the carcass like I'd just burned her temple. "What are you doing?" she asked. I didn't even flinch.
"Eating."
"That's Adarsun," she said, her voice sharp, trembling. You killed it?" Didn't exactly ask its name. But yeah, it's dead. And I'm hungry. I offered her a piece. She stepped back like it might explode. We sat in silence for a long time. The fire crackled. Smoke rose in lazy spirals. I kept chewing. She kept staring. Finally, she sat beside me. "You shouldn't be alive." I chuckled. Story of my life. Over the next few hours, she studied me like a puzzle piece that didn't fit. She spoke of her people, of how they tried to tame this planet, to control the predator I had just turned into barbecue. She didn't believe I was human at first. "No human is this reckless," she said. "This stupid." And maybe she was right. But it worked. That night marked the beginning of something neither of us expected. In her eyes, I was chaos, raw, unrefined, unpredictable. In mine, she was control, measured, calculating, and breathtaking. We were from different worlds, literally. But somehow, in the ruins of both our homes, we found a spark. The night crept in colder than usual. Even with the predator's carcass still smoldering beside us, the ruins around the Bone Hive whispered nothing but silence and frost. Amelia hadn't moved for a while, just stared into the flames, her pale brows furrowed like the fire was telling her some terrible secret. I broke the silence. "You want to talk about it, or should I just guess what's crawling through that pretty skull of yours?" She didn't laugh. Not even a smirk. "You don't understand," she said, finally turning her head. Her voice was quiet, but heavy, like she was dragging 100 years of history behind every word. "That creature was sacred to my people." I raised an eyebrow. "Sacred? It tried to eat me alive."
"Yes."
And still, we revered it. The Darsun was part of the great cycle. Nature's balance. We studied it, feared it, even named fleets after it. And you butchered it. Alone. Would you have preferred it butchered me instead? She fell silent again. I could see the flicker of conflict in her eyes, logic battling emotion, tradition fighting survival instinct. She was torn between mourning a myth and admitting that I had done what her entire species couldn't. I tossed the bone aside and leaned back. "Tell you what," I said. "You get to be the first alien I've ever shared a campfire with. So, let's trade war stories. I'll go first." I pointed to a thin scar slicing down my forearm. "This? Got it from a rogue drone in Colorado. Back when Earth still had borders. Before it all went to hell. My brother and I tried salvaging medpacks from an old vault. Thing popped out of a wall like a damn spider and nearly took my arm." Amelia tilted her head. "You had a brother?" I nodded slowly, chewing on a memory far more bitter than Narration meat.
Had.
Past tense. She didn't press.
Didn't need to.
That quiet respect, it meant more than a dozen sorries. Then she spoke. "I had a sister. Back on Serthis Prime. She was strong. Brilliant. But when the Tharsun destroyed our first landing colony here, she volunteered to stay behind. Said she'd tame it. Learn it. Find peace through knowledge." I turned to look at her. "And did she?" "No," Amelia said. "We never found her." The wind howled through broken towers, stirring ash and old regrets between us. "She would have hated what I did today," I said quietly. "Wouldn't she?" "Yes," Amelia answered. "And she would have liked you for it anyway." That caught me off guard. I stared at her. "Why?" She gave a sad smile. "Because you survived. Because you made choices no one else dared to. Because you didn't follow the script." There it was again, that glimmer, that subtle shift, something unspoken settling between us. The predator was dead, but we were still circling each other, fangs out, hearts pounding. Suddenly, a sharp hiss echoed through the ruins. She sprang up before I could blink, hand going to the blade on her hip. I turned toward the sound, grabbing my rusted rifle. A smaller Tharsun, no more than 5 feet tall, was limping toward the fire, lured by the scent of roasted flesh. "Back," Amelia warned. "It's a juvenile, but still lethal." I steadied my aim, but before I could fire, it lunged and gnawed at me. At her. In a blur of black and violet, Amelia dodged left, striking low with her blade. The beast screeched as metal sliced through muscle, but its claws still found her arm, slashing deep. I roared and fired once, twice, until it fell twitching, lifeless. She dropped to her knees, clutching her wound, blood streaming like molten silver. "Venom," she gasped. "It's claws." I didn't wait. I dropped beside her, tearing off part of my shirt and wrapping it tight around the wound. "What do I do?" I asked. "Tell me how to help you." Her hand grabbed mine with a strength I didn't expect. "There's a vial. Right side. Belt." I yanked it free, a dark green fluid in a crystal tube, and injected it into her thigh. She gritted her teeth, her breath trembling. For the next hour, I watched over her, hand on my rifle, eyes darting through shadows. She slept fitfully, sweat glistening on her temples. When she finally woke, she looked at me like she wasn't sure I was real. "You stayed," she said. Of course I stayed. I thought humans only looked after themselves. I leaned closer. "Then maybe it's time you thought again." Her hand found mine. Not as an ally, not as an alien, but as something else. Something new. She slept most of the next day. I stayed nearby, sharpening my blade out of habit, half watching the horizon, half watching her. Amelia's breathing grew steadier with every hour. The venom hadn't reached her heart, but it had tried. She was tough, damn tough, but even warriors have limits. When she finally sat up, she winced, then looked at the makeshift bandage on her arm. "You did this?" she asked softly. "Don't worry. I sterilized it with fire and stupidity." I grinned. That earned a chuckle. Her first real laugh since we met. Light and dry like desert wind, but real. I didn't know why that little sound hit me harder than any predator's roar. "You stayed up all night?" "I don't sleep much anymore." "Because of what happened to Earth?" she asked. "No," I said. Because of what I've seen since it fell. She looked away, suddenly quiet. We were in a dead world, but the silence between us wasn't empty anymore. It was charged, electric. Like something important waited just behind the next breath. You humans, she murmured, you carry pain like armor. I tilted my head. And what do your people carry?
Duty.
Honor. But sometimes too much pride. That why you were here alone? She paused, then nodded. I disobeyed a command, she admitted. I wanted to study Earth, not conquer it. They called it treason. So they sent me here. Alone.
To die.
Nice of them, I muttered. Real honorable. I didn't expect to survive, she whispered. Then I saw you. I blinked. You mean, me feasting on a giant lizard made you want to live? Her lips curled into a smirk.
It was horrifying.
And strangely compelling. We both laughed, and just like that, something shifted again. She wasn't just the enemy anymore. Or the strange, mysterious alien with perfect posture and lethal elegance. She was Amelia. Wounded, brilliant, stubborn as hell, and more alive than anyone I'd met in years. Later that evening, I was boiling water over the flames when she moved beside me.
Closer this time.
No hesitation. Her shoulder brushed mine. Jay, she said, her voice barely a whisper. Can I ask you something personal? I nodded, surprised by the seriousness in her tone. Do humans always hide how lonely they are with sarcasm? I didn't answer right away. I just stared into the fire. Not always, I finally said. Sometimes it's music.
Or food.
Or work. Or guns. We all hide it differently. But yeah, loneliness is loud. So we try to drown it out.
She didn't respond.
She just reached out, hesitantly at first, and laid her hand over mine. Her skin was warm, softer than I expected, alien and yet familiar. I think I've been lonely a long time too, she whispered. I turned toward her. And for the first time I saw her, not the warrior, not the diplomat, not the alien, but the woman behind the walls. Vulnerable. Open. I leaned in before I could stop myself. And she didn't pull away. Her lips were cool, tasting faintly of metal and starlight. The kiss was gentle, exploratory. Not rushed. Not wild. Just right. When we pulled apart, neither of us spoke for a while. Then I whispered, So, was that against alien law?
She smirked.
Highly. But I'll allow it. That night, we laid beneath a collapsed sky bridge, staring up at what remained of the stars. My hand rested near hers. Not touching. Not needing to. She spoke first. My people will come eventually. They'll see you as a threat.
I'm used to it, I said.
Been a threat my whole life. What if I told you? I didn't want to go back. I turned to her, fully. Then I'd tell you this planet's big enough for 2 exiles. She looked at me for a long time. Then she moved closer and rested her head against my shoulder. We didn't need more words. In a dead world of predators and ruins, somehow we'd found the rarest thing left, connection. It started with a hum. Low, steady, and alien in nature. Amelia's eyes snapped open. She sat up like she'd been electrocuted. They're here, she whispered. I knew exactly who she meant. The fire crackled beside us. The bones of the Tharsun now charred black and hollow. But none of that mattered. Not when the sky itself began to shift. We rushed out from under the broken sky bridge as the clouds split, like someone had drawn a knife through the heavens. A ship. Massive. Angular. Glowing blue underneath. I recognized that design, I said grimly. Looks like the one that shot down my evac shuttle 3 years ago. She didn't answer. Her expression was unreadable. Amelia? She turned to me slowly. That's the Verith-class tribunal. The Council's personal enforcer ship. Sounds friendly. It's not. They've come for me. Or to erase me. I clenched my fists. Then they'll have to go through me first. Her eyes softened, like I'd just done something impossibly reckless and impossibly touching at the same time. Jay, you can't fight them. Maybe not. But I can stand beside you. We didn't have time for more. The ship descended like judgment itself, wind and dust kicking up all around. And then they disembarked. 5 armored aliens in obsidian suits. Their helmets were sleek, faceless. Their weapons pulsed with violet light. Amelia of Serethis. One of them boomed. You have violated high law. Stand down, and you will be given a clean death. She stepped forward before I could. Her posture was rigid, but I saw the tremble in her fingers. No, she said clearly. I refuse. You bonded with the human, the voice accused. You let emotion cloud your directive. I didn't let anything cloud me, she snapped. I chose. I moved beside her, rifle raised, legs wide, heart racing. Back off, I growled. You want her, you go through me? They hesitated. One of them lowered his weapon. Why would you throw your life away for her? I didn't blink, because she didn't throw mine away when she had the chance. A pause. Tension coiled around us like a storm about to break. Then the leader raised his arm and fired. I shoved Amelia aside and took the hit. Everything slowed. Pain wasn't immediate. It came after, like a delayed explosion in my chest. The blast knocked me back into rubble. Air gone. Vision dimming. I heard her scream. She didn't run. She charged. Screaming something ancient and furious, Amelia vaulted into the group like a living blade. Her hands moved like lightning, her body a blur of black and silver. 2 fell. A third tried to retreat. She crushed his helmet in one hand. Then came the silence again. She knelt beside me, breath ragged, tears streaking silver down her cheeks. No, 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 no. Jay, stay with me. I'm here. I groaned, blood in my throat. Still handsome? She laughed through tears. Idiot. I reached for her cheek. Guess. I'm the sacred one now, huh? Don't you dare make jokes right now. Another laugh. She couldn't help it. And then the impossible happened. The remaining enforcer, the one who hadn't fired, dropped his weapon, slowly removed his helmet. His skin was silvered, eyes old and sad. She has proven something rare, he said quietly. She chose love over protocol. And you over survival. That deserves more than death. He turned to Amelia. You are cast out, Amelia. But you are also free. Then he was gone. The ship lifted, abandoning orbit in silence. She turned to me, hands trembling. You could have died. But I didn't. Why? I stared into those violet eyes. Because you're worth it.
She didn't speak.
She just kissed me, hard, desperate, real. Like nothing else in the universe existed. Weeks passed. We rebuilt our shelter, hunted carefully, and stayed off the radar. Amelia trained me in alien tactics. I taught her human improvisation. We were different in every way that mattered. And yet we worked
because we chose to.
One night, while cooking under starlight, she said, You know, the Tharsun were apex predators. Untouchable. And you ate one like it was roast chicken. I grinned. You still mad about that?
She leaned in. No.
I'm still impressed. Even if it was sacred? She nodded. Because now I understand something sacred can still fall, but something real, something chosen, that survives. I took her hand. We didn't know what tomorrow would bring. But tonight? Tonight, an alien and a human shared fire, food, scars, and love on a planet too broken for rules, but just right for new beginnings.